Good morning, everybody. Happy Sunday to everybody. I'm Dr. Doug Vaughn, world famous bariatric surgeon. Today, I'm going to talk about how do you know you're protected after you've had the vaccination. And I'm going to test myself for antibodies using a rapid test kit. And I don't know if I have antibodies. I am 2 weeks post my second dose from Moderna. And so I'm going to test myself and see if I have antibodies. And this is super important. My allergies just started kicking in. I don't know why. So, if you're watching this on the replay, you can fast forward to the 5-minute mark, and that's when I'll probably get started. In the meantime, we're going to say some hellos to people who are just joining in. Where are you watching from? Have you been vaccinated? Are you concerned that maybe you didn't have much of a reaction, et cetera, et cetera? Are you curious to see if you've developed antibodies? We're going to talk about all of that today. Where are you watching from? Get your name up here. Hi, Rosie. Where are you watching from? Hi, Donna. Susan, Martina, where are you watching from? Hi, Nicholas. Glad to hear. Hey, Letitia I know you're in El Paso. So hit the share button for me. Get people in here. Get people. All right. Temecula. Nice, Rosie. There's a fire near you. Be careful. John Clark, good morning. You've been vaccinated, Susan. Virginia's in the house. And let's talk about why are some people hesitant. I don't think it's as many people as you think. I think most people will get vaccinated, and the people who are deniers will hold off. So good morning, AC. Good morning, Brenda. Hope you guys are good. Yay, Jeremy. Both Moderna shots. Me too. And Chambers. And I will also do push-ups. Why push-ups? Because in my little private group, I've challenged them to, I've been teaching them that, if you want to form a good habit, you got to connect it to something you love. So I hate doing push-ups, but I know it's important. And so I do push-ups before I get to garden because I love to garden. And I started with basically one push-up, and now I'm up to 30. And today I have to up the number to 32. All right. So Lori is in New Jersey and she's fully vaccinated. Awesome. Shanna's in Canada, is fully vaccinated, both shots. I got allergies too. Northern Ireland, Michelle, good job. Glad you're vaccinated. That's awesome. Jeanette is vaccinated. See, if you want to join my private group, the free one is Transformation Challenge on Facebook. You can go to transformmylife.com, and you'll get into the free group. The paid group is not open to joining right now. All right, excellent. No side effects. Now we're going to talk about this, Marley. This might not be a good thing. Weeble still watching me on YouTube. That's awesome. All right, I love this. Here you go, Verona. Good fucking morning. That's awesome. All right, both shots. That's awesome. Mindy Whitworth, fully vaccinated. That's awesome. Great. So thank you guys for sharing. I'm going to do my push-ups real quick, and we'll get going here. John Deal, and I know Mr. John had, you shared on Facebook, so I'm not saying anything you haven't shared, but he came down with COVID. And I'm glad you're now vaccinated. That's awesome. And I did a video yesterday. If you've had COVID, should you still get a COVID vaccination? The short answer is yes. And I've been doing Facebook Lives pretty much every single day for the last week. I'm gonna do it every single day for the month of May. All right. Yeah, you gotta be careful. Okay. So let me do my push-ups and we'll get going. Count me off. We're doing 32 today. I'm up to 32. Let me make sure I have. All right, that'll be good here. This is my new office. I'm in my new house. Count me down, 32, everybody. All right. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 15, 20, 25, 6, 7, 8, 29, 30, 31, 32. Woo! I'm starting to feel those. 32 is tough. Man, how'd I do? How'd I do, man? 32. Woo! Pretty tough. And I increased it by 2 every week. And my goal is to get to 100 a day. And boy, I tell you, I'm starting to max. I might have to break it up. I don't know if I'll get to 40. That's pretty impressive though, without stopping, you know what I mean? Every single day. All right, all right. Thank you very much. All right, hit the share button for me. We're gonna get started, so hit the share button. And I appreciate you very much. We're gonna talk about how do you know if you are protected. All right, so let's get going here. So, hello everybody, I'm Dr. Duck Long, world famous bariatric surgeon. Today I want to talk about how do you know if you're protected after you've had your vaccination, okay? And I'm going to try to explain this pretty simply for a lot of people. Number one, vaccination is priming your immune system. Okay, so a lot of people are really confused by this. Vaccination is basically priming your immune system. It's basically trying to train your immune system to recognize this novel coronavirus. This is new. And I get this comment a lot about like, why should I get vaccinated? You should be boosting our immune system naturally, whatever that means, right? Naturally with vitamin D, vitamin C, and these supplements and zinc and yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, well, first of all, you have to accept the fact that there's like, 60% more obesity. 2/3 of Americans are overweight, and 1/3 of Americans are obese. So we're not really in the best shape. And if you wanted to boost your immunity prior to, you would have had to do it a year prior to really get that kind of safety factor in. But so once you're in the pandemic, to sit there and tell people don't get vaccinated, all you need to do is take your vitamin D and eat healthy, you're too late. One, it's a new virus. No one has immunity to this. Now, it definitely helps as the data has come in. We know that it definitely helps to not be overweight, because that's actually the number 1 risk factor to end up in the ICU is obesity, and not even morbid obesity, but BMI of 30. Which is only, about 60 pounds overweight, 30, 40 pounds overweight. So it's a lot of Americans right there. And then we know, obviously, old age matters. This is more likely affects the elderly. This is as the data has come in. So now what happens is people sit back and they look at, and they want to flex their muscles and be like, you just need to start eating healthy. Like motherfucker, like that's not helpful. All right. So vaccination is basically to prime your immune system. Now, I've used this analogy because you guys have all been there, right? You've been to the bar. Now, comment if you have a friend or loved one, for whatever reason, every time y'all go out together, somebody's getting hurt. There's a bar fight, I had a friend like that in college, man. Like, I was like, how do you get in so many bar fights? It's just like pretty crazy. So anyway, so you get into this bar fight and the bouncers throw your ass out. And I also have friends who were bouncers, which I thought was interesting. So the bouncer then recognizes this guy as a troublemaker, or gal, can be a gal too. And so the bouncer, just for whatever reason, they might take a picture of you, but they just remember, they put, like this guy's not allowed in. So then like a month passes by and you think that, okay, the dust has settled. You can go back in to the bar. And then when you go back in, the bouncer recognizes the troublemaker and goes, you're not allowed in, right? Kicks you out and you can't start trouble. That is basically what a vaccine does. So a vaccine introduces a little piece of messenger RNA, genetic material, that then gets turned into a protein. And In this particular case, it's the spike protein of the SARS-CoV-2 virus. So it's specific for this one virus that causes COVID-19, which is the disease. The virus is SARS-CoV-2. So I also get this question about, well, Dr. V, like, how is this different from the flu vaccine? You know, I don't take the flu vaccine, and some people sit there and they try to mix up my words. Like, you said you would not take this vaccine, and now you've taken it. Like, bitch, like, I didn't say that. Listen, I don't take the flu vaccine because it's a guess. I mean, it is a bunch of statisticians and epidemiologists trying to guess which viruses, because there's a bunch of influenzas that will most likely cause the flu that season. I'm not into guessing, and it only has to be 50% effective for it to work. And statistically speaking, the flu vaccine historically has been about 50% effective on a good year. And so just like I took the polio vaccine, I took the chickenpox vaccine. These are very specific vaccines for specific virus. So the Pfizer and the Moderna vaccine and the ones we have now are specific to one virus, the SARS-CoV-2. And we can talk about variants here in a little bit. But so I got vaccinated against SARS-CoV-2. So that's the bad troublemaker. You know, it's not a group of people that the bouncer has to remember. It's just one troublemaker. So then you get a little piece of messenger RNA. That messenger RNA cannot go back into your nucleus. And somebody commented the other day, I did a video on this recently about how the vaccine cannot change your DNA, which is really stupid. If anyone still believes that, just get off this page, because you sound like an idiot. So that the messenger RNA can't get back into the nucleus. The DNA is in the nucleus. Messenger RNA goes out of the nucleus, and it actually activates in the cytoplasm. And somebody was like, prove to me that the messenger RNA doesn't make its way into your nucleus. Like, well, it's called science. It's like they've studied this, and we know the purpose of messenger RNA, and there aren't any carrier molecules that brings messenger RNA back into the nucleus. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, do you want to go back and take an entire, biochemistry course, or do you just want to take my word for it that this is how this works? Even if messenger RNA made its way, and it doesn't, but these people that just want to not believe this, even if messenger RNA made its way back into the nucleus, which it can't, but even if it did, it would be harmless, because there's nothing in the nucleus that actually activates or allows messenger RNA to combine with DNA. Like, it does. There's no mechanism that makes it. It's a one-way street. It goes from DNA to RNA to proteins. So it doesn't go backwards. Like, you can't take a protein and then make messenger RNA and then make it DNA again. Like, it doesn't work that way. It's a one-way street. So this is really an example of a huge failure of our educational system. But just take my word for it, right? So the messenger RNA that you're going to get in this vaccine makes its way into the cytoplasm, inside the cell. That's the cytoplasm, outside of the nucleus. And then there are enzymes and proteins in there that then transcribe this little piece of I don't want to say genetic, because that really confuses people too, of messenger RNA into the protein that we call the spike protein. And then that spike protein gets displayed on the surface, and then your immune system kicks into action, recognizes the spike protein as foreign, and then starts a reaction, forms antibodies. That's what makes you feel not so good when you get the vaccine. And then more importantly, it elicits a immune memory. So then your body ends up forming like memory B cells and memory T cells, among other things. So okay, so I want to write that down, because this is the key. All right. And this is what the whole purpose of the vaccine. Your body forms memory B and T cells. So those are your bouncers in this scenario. So when you get vaccinated, now your memory cells go, okay, I recognize this as a bad actor. This is not part of me. This is foreign. If I see this dude again, I need to kick his ass. That's the whole purpose of a vaccination, is to see. People think like, what's the point of getting the vaccine if it doesn't keep you from catching COVID? First of all, it actually does. COVID is a disease. So what they really mean to say is, what's the point of getting the vaccine if it doesn't keep you from catching SARS-CoV-2, the virus? There is no vaccines that keep you from catching any virus. What it does, because there's the only way to hopefully prevent catching the virus is to wear masks, to cover up this area, to socially distance, right? Because it's an airborne sort of transmission. It's not on surfaces. So if you really want to avoid catching SARS-CoV-2 and live a relatively normal life, then that's masking, social distancing, and eventually getting to herd immunity. That's another talk. But what these vaccines do is prevent you from developing the disease. So if you're an idiot, or I shouldn't say an idiot, but let's just say you happen to be out and you come in contact with SARS-CoV-2, it makes its way into your mucous membranes, because we know it's a respiratory infection. And the idea, though, is because you've been immunized, if you understand what I'm trying to say here, the actual virus is in you, right? It's on you, but because you're vaccinated, your immune system recognizes this bad actor and gets rid of it, kills the cells, attacks it, et cetera, before it can develop into COVID, into a disease. That's what 94% effective means. So in the major big studies, for the idiots who keep saying, I'm not taking something that's understudied, that hasn't been improved, like, these people are so confused, that it wasn't rushed. First of all, that was most likely your president who named it warp speed, right? Which caused this confusion. There were no steps that were skipped in the studying of this vaccine, but people want to make it sound like it's all conspiracy, but it's just not true. There were no steps that were skipped. These are big studies, 20,000 people in each arm, placebo as well as vaccination. The data worked out really, really well. So that's what 94% effective means, what people don't understand. So if the people who had it did not turn into disease, so it's 94% effective. Of the 6% who actually got SARS-CoV-2 and then developed COVID, of those 6%, none of them were hospitalized and none of them died. So in other words, the vaccination is 100% effective in keeping your ass alive, which is what we're after. So the people who sit there and go, well, what's the point if it doesn't stop you from developing COVID? The point is it keeps your ass alive. I mean, that 100% effective in keeping you alive. When, or you can take your chance. I'll take my chance, Dr. V. Well, it's currently a 3 to 5% mortality rate. And at one point, when the hospital systems were really stretched, okay, here in Texas and Houston, a study came out and looked at this. If you were admitted to the hospital, because you got to remember, in January, we were turning people away from hospitals. In the early days of the pandemic, last March, when people were testing positive, we would admit them. But by January, we weren't admitting the same people. We were sending those people home with oxygen and phone calls and telemedicine. And you only got admitted to the hospital if you were really, really sick. And in December, January, Houston was hit pretty hard. And at one point, the ICUs were near capacity. And they looked at the study, and the death rate, guys, listen to me, the death rate, if you were in the hospital, got as high as 20%. If you had COVID and you were in the hospital back in December, January, your death rate was as high as 20%. That's 1 in 5. And so these people, first of all, the people who sit there and go, why take a vaccine for a virus that's with 99.99% survival? Like, no, it's not. Like, stop reporting that. That's not even true. It's not accurate. So the only thing that really mattered was, at the time, you have to remember back to December and January when we were all panicking. The truth of the matter was, in that time period, if you happened to be admitted to the hospital, your death rate was about 20%, and this is after, 9 months of understanding, you want patients to be on their tummies. You want to try to delay putting on the ventilators versus at the beginning, we're putting people on ventilators quickly. And that was the whole ventilator, the last administration was talking about they wanted ventilators. So we built all these ventilators. What happened? Well, it's called science. We fucking learned that it was better to not put people on ventilators. Anyway, I digress, right? So people, and I made videos where I talked about this, where people are trying to reinvent history. Like they're trying to rewrite history like it's not that bad. And people have forgotten that is the true data. If you look in that time period, your death rate was 20%, your case fatality rate was 20% if you were admitted into a hospital. And so that's why this vaccination is super important, because of the 6% who developed COVID, it was a much milder case. You did not get, 0 got admitted and 0 died. And that's the point of the vaccination. But this takes me to, so let's say Dr. Vaughn, you've convinced me, I'm going to get vaccinated. It doesn't end there, right? How do you know you're protected? So this is really the topic right here. You have to test for antibodies. This is right here. This is after a vaccination, the only way to know if you have protection. And I'm going to test myself, because this is the rapid test kits I've made available, and it tests for antibodies. Now, I'm going to talk about what's happened with the New York Yankees, with Bill Maher, who supposedly is fully vaccinated but developed SARS-CoV-2. Developed COVID, and the New York Yankees, the 8 members who tested positive for COVID. So I'm going to test myself real quick. You have to test for antibodies. Now, this is a failure of leadership. If you think about, we're going to need 250 million Americans alone to get vaccinated. We don't have the lab capacity to test everybody for antibodies. So the regulations are you don't need to test. But I'm going to come back to this. Let me test myself real quick. All right, so hang with me. This gives you 10-minute results. Just hang with me, and then I'm going to talk about why they don't test you for antibodies. I'm going to talk about the J&J. I'm going to talk about some other stuff. So this is a little bit longer video, but let me scoot this over. I make these available, by the way. So I was selling them, they're normally $5 for $500, so $100 each. But because we're kind of wrapping down this pandemic, I'll sell you 5 for $50 each, so $250. So they're $50 each, minimum order of 5, so $250 plus shipping. And I have different shipping options. So I've been testing myself. If you followed me, I've tested myself all year long. I test myself every 2 weeks, and I have yet to turn positive on antibodies. Now, I am 2 weeks after my second Moderna vaccine, so I should have full protection. So this should show up with antibodies. If you order from me, five minimum order 5, $50 each, $250. I'll send this whole kit to you. I had this card developed. It shows you how to read it, how to test it, 10-minute results, shows you where to put it. Super easy. All right. And it comes with everything you need. Glove. I don't glove. It comes with, here's the test. All right. Band-Aid. Right. And then it's just a little finger prick, like testing yourself for diabetes. So if you're a diabetic and this is the same lancet you would use to finger prick yourself. And here's the solution that you're going to put in here, right? So I'm just going to go down to my table here. And I'm going to test myself. So I'll just open everything up. I have a little Band-Aid for you, but you can use it. You don't have to use it. It's no big deal. Here's the prep. All right. Here's the solution. So here's the test. It is FDA. It's on the emergency use authorization list, this test that I use. It's an antibody test. It looks like a pregnancy test. You're going to prick your finger, and then you're going to read the results. Okay. You don't send it into a lab or anything like that. So you don't have to have any special equipment. We should have made these available to the government, for everybody to test regularly. And so now that I'm using it to test myself for antibodies to see if I have protection. So here's the solution. This comes with this little turkey baster pipette. Just squeeze down the bulb, suck up all of that solution that's in there. Oh, I did a bad job. There we go. Suck, see? And now it's all up in here. Okay. And I'm just gonna set this down to the side like this. I'm left-handed, so I'm gonna prick my right finger, actually, I'll do my middle finger. And now, all you do is, the needle is automatically in here. It's just loaded. So you're just gonna put right here and press. Does not hurt, does not sting. And then you're gonna milk out this little blood droplet like that, okay? If you've been following me, I've been testing myself all year long. So you've probably seen me do this before. And you just get a nice big drop of blood like that right there. And now the cassette has an S, that's the sample right there at the top. You can put it in that square there. See, boom, I hit that. And now I'm just gonna wipe this off. And you can see I've already stopped bleeding, but I'll go ahead and put my little Band-Aid on there so Erica thinks I'm tough. There, so I'll put my little Band-Aid on my finger like that. Now, so the blood is in the cassette right there. And the bottom one, I'm gonna drop my solution. Okay, so I'm just gonna go ahead and just put all of that solution in there. Like that. Okay, and now what you'll see is that solution is making its way up the tray, and you see that purple color? It's going to turn that blue control line pink. If that blue control line turns pink, then that means I've done the test right and it's valid. And in 10 minutes, I'll read this card. Let's just watch this real quick. We'll watch this go up. Now, this is a blood test that checks for antibodies, and that's what we're talking about. I am 2 weeks vaccinated after my second dose of the Moderna, so I should have antibodies. We'll see. So that blue line here will turn pink here in a second. There it is. And at that point, I'm going to start the clock, right? It's 28 after, so 38 after. So you see that? See how that line's turned pink now? Now what I'm going to do, oh my gosh, wow. Now I'm going to look and see. What I want to see is the IgM and IgG line. IgM is the initial immunoglobulin, and then IgG is a longer lasting one. And that will show me I have antibodies. And I will read this in 10 minutes, guys. So I want to finish my talk, and that's it. You don't send it to a lab. You don't need any special equipment. You're just going to read it like a pregnancy test. So if you are interested in getting a couple of tests, I have them on sale right now. Normally they're $5 for $500. I'm going to give you a 50% discount today. It's going to be $5 for $250. That's $50 each. I'm cutting it half off. Just go to facebook.com/Dr. Vong and message me $5 for $250. So I know you want, so you know it's $250. All right. And then test yourself to see. All right. So why is this important? I want to talk about this. All right. Now, so what I was saying is, Dr. Vong, if that's true and everything you're saying makes sense, why doesn't the government automatically test us for antibodies to see if we have a reaction? The answer is this, dude, like there's not enough tests to go around. There's no capacity in labs and stuff. Like ideally you should make this available to your doctor, and your doctor, if they wanted to test you, could test you or just sell you a kit or whatever. And I put those kits together. You can buy the test, but I've ordered everything. I'm the one who like put these into separated the solution. You can't buy these kits online. They're just for me. If you try to go buy online, all they're going to send you is the cassette. You won't be able to really run it. separately. So that I saw that need last August, and so I put those kits together. And now I see the need that we need to test for antibodies. So why doesn't the government do it? They've actually taken the position to not test for antibodies. They tell you don't need to, just assume you're protected. Dude, that doesn't work, right? You can't just assume you're protected. And what we're seeing now, and I don't know if it's a thing. What number am I? Number 4, J&J vaccine. Okay, I want to, and I'm not here to disparage anybody, but and I think if you should take any vaccination that's available to you. I want to make that very clear. So even if it's the J&J, you should take it. Now, J&J is the one that's in the news for blood clots, etc. That's like, I don't know. I don't know the most current number of cases. I want to say it was 6 when they paused it and they looked it over. I mean, that's 6 out of like 50 million J&J vaccinations. It's very minimal. So people get blood clots all the time. You can get blood clots from flying in a jet plane, but we still fly in jets, you know. So, and remember, the J&J vaccination was tested against the, it happened to be tested in South Africa. So it went against the South African variant. It went against it was tested in Brazil. So it went against the Brazilian variant, and it was tested in the United States. So it went against the UK variant, as well as the more minor LA variant and New York variant. And so the numbers for the J&J happen to be lower, but overall, it's still, like, I want to say 85% effective in keeping you alive and like keeping you out of the hospital. So it's still a very good vaccine. What is coming down, though, I'm telling you, I don't want you to panic about the blood clot issue. They're going to do a warning. It was all females, and there's probably, the data will probably tease out that there was something, probably females on birth control. Like, for example, a lot of the women know that if you're on birth control, you're at risk for blood clots. So birth control plus airplane travel, you are at risk for blood clots. That's just what it is without even a vaccine. So it's just a part of life. But what I want to say that's very different is that you have to remember, you might have heard in the news, there were 8 New York Yankee baseball players who were fully vaccinated that came down that tested positive for SARS-CoV-2. Well, guess which vaccine they were tested? They had. They all had the J&J. So now I'm a little like, so I'm trying to put this together, and I'm sitting here thinking to myself, there's probably something there. Now, this is not official, and I will deny it, but so far I've had 2 people message me who ordered COVID rapid tests from me. I've had lots of people who order these test kits from me, test themselves after the Moderna and Pfizer, and they tested positive for antibodies. And then this last week, for whatever reason, I've had 2 people who messaged me, said, I'm 6 weeks after my J&J and I don't have antibodies. Now, this is not a study. This is purely anecdotal. I don't want anyone to panic. I want you to get your J&J if that's what's offered to you. But I think that there's going to be something that teases out in the data in the future about this. All right. So I just tested myself for antibodies. And if you've been following me for the last year, I have never developed antibodies, which would tell me that I was exposed to the virus. So here you want to see the IgG or IgM lines light up. And if that happens, then that means I have antibodies against SARS-CoV-2. And this test is specific for SARS-CoV-2. So it won't pull up if you have some other coronavirus. This is specific for SARS-CoV-2. I've actually had that independently verified by an outside lab. So let's see, drum roll. Does Dr. Vong have antibodies? Who knows? Let's see, am I protected? I'm 2 weeks after post the second dose of Moderna, and check this out. Look at that. Boom. My first time ever, I have you see that real deep purple line? That second line is right next to the G. You guys see that? You see that G? I know it's a little bit hard. See that G? That means I have IgG antibodies, and I actually have who sees the very faint line right at the M? Hey babe, I've got both IgG and IgM. Is a very faint line right next to the M too. You see it? And then a very strong IgG. So I am protected. So now I know that my body, because I've tested myself before and I've never had antibodies before because I've never had SARS-CoV-2. Now that I've had my second dose of Moderna, I have developed antibodies, which is my immune system is the bouncer and it recognizes there's a bad player. So now I feel good, right? Woohoo, there you go. This is what you have to do. So I don't assume that I'm protected, which is what the government wants you to just do, just assume. I'm going to tell you, for a peace of mind, for $50, minimum order of $250, I mean, you're going to test yourself, you're going to test your family members, and now you know you're protected, especially if you've had the J&J vaccine, where I'm just like, whoa. Now, let me tell you something real quick. Number 5. Now, a lot of people don't understand this, and this is super important, so don't go anywhere, you guys. This is really, really important. Antibodies are meant to disappear. So I would suspect that if I retested myself in, let's say, a month, this bright, deep purple line, which is a very strong response, would probably be a lighter pink line. Like already the IgM, the initial one, is already light pink. So IgM goes up first and then disappears first. IgG is more of the lasting memory and then disappears. So you want your antibodies to disappear. Why? Who knows the answer? You don't want antibodies running around in your body. It'll start attacking things. That's what it means to be autoimmune. Like when people have an autoimmune disease, that means your body is attacking itself. And how does it attack itself? It's these antibodies, right? And that's actually a type of blood cancer, immunoglobulin disease, the IgG diseases and stuff. And it often, has to deal with your bone marrow and things like that. So you don't want your antibodies running amok. So if I tested myself next month and the following month, I should see my antibodies go down, go away, and then it wouldn't show up. But I know my body instead forms the memory B and T cells, right? So now if I travel, I'm actually going to travel next week to Costa Rica. And if I come in contact with it and then I retested myself, right? Let's say my antibodies went away and I had a negative test, right? And then I started feeling bad and maybe I'd been traveling or something like that. And then I retested myself and I see a line at the IgM, I will know that I have SARS-CoV-2. Does that make sense? So you want your antibodies to disappear. So there's this window where you want to test yourself to make sure you had a response to the vaccine, but you are aware that it's going to go away. And then if you develop antibodies again, then especially if you start feeling bad, loss of smell, things like that, you know that you are positive and you can isolate and all that stuff. So the points about boosters is going to be interesting, and I'll wrap it up with that. That's where the whole variant issue comes in play. So far, what is a couple things that's I want to address real quick. I took that Band-Aid off because I'm not even bleeding anymore. It doesn't even hurt. Let me do number 6 for y'all real quick. Okay. Variants and boosters. So the answer to the question about what about booster shots, what about variant shots, it's like the data is too early to show. We don't know, and that's the truth. There's a good possibility if we don't get this caseload down, we're going to be in trouble. Now, having said that, the J&J was tested against South African variant, Brazilian variant, and the UK variant here in the United States. So there's a good chance that it gives you some protection. So what we don't want is a really crazy variant that really is very different from these vaccines. But what's nice about this messenger RNA technology is that the scientists, the vaccine developers, can tweak the science is so cool. If there is a new variant, they can get the genetic sequence of the virus, which happens to be an RNA virus, right? They can map that out quickly, and they can compare it, and they know where the changes are on the spike protein, and then they can quickly adapt the vaccine. They can change it, and they're calling that the booster. So there is a good chance you might need a booster. But the way to prevent that is actually get everybody vaccinated, still wear your mask, still socially distance, and get this down low. And it's a global pandemic. So to sit there and say, well, our US numbers are down and India is on the other side of the world, so we don't need to worry about it. Dude, that's foolish, because I mean, international travel, et cetera, this is just going to drag this shit out longer until we really jump on board. Which is the next thing, the last thing I want to, what was I going to talk about? Variants and booster. I totally forgot what I was going to say. Let's see. Somebody will see boosters. Yeah, South African booster for sure. Okay. All right. I think I just want to leave it with that. So you might need a booster. We're going to drag this out a lot longer than it needs to be. There will probably be another uptick, because there's always been 3. You know, this is a 3-year thing. And this is really the path to getting healthy again. Okay. Now let me do a couple of things real quick. And I'm just going to bullet point a couple of things real quick. Listen, this is not population control. I mean, this is where math fails people. Oh, you need to watch the Bill Gates video on population control. Nah. And that's why I'm not going to take the vaccine. Listen. 3.3 million people have died worldwide. And that's a huge travesty, and it is probably undercounted. But you understand that 3.3 million people out of 7 billion is nothing. Does not even register population control. So for people to sit there and go, well, this is just all about population control. You are proving yourself that you don't understand percentages. It's a human travesty, but it's nowhere near what it would take to be population control. I mean, we seriously would have to wipe off 3 billion people in order to have any sort of substantial effect on population control. So that's a really serious, stupid comment to make. And I'll do a couple of quick bullet points. The microchip idea, dude, you can't put a fucking microchip in this. And you're the same idiot who's walking around with a cell phone. The government's tracking me. You're not that interesting. The government is not that interested in you and your little 9-to-5 job and what you do. They don't really fucking care that you whack off to Pornhub. Okay, you're not that important, dude. And if you were really concerned about it, then why are you still using your cell phone? Why are you ordering on Amazon? Why do you have an Alexa? It's stupid. I'm about to get my blood pressure up. And then the people that just go, I'm not taking it because it's rushed. It wasn't rushed. Your president, the last administration, is the one who named it Operation Warp Speed, who's trying to take credit for it. And because it didn't fit with his narrative, he got the vaccination and didn't announce it. He and his wife got vaccinated in secrecy, but now it's out. So if your fearless leader took it, what's your excuse now? I don't really understand that. I don't understand the reasoning behind this. So what I'm going to tell you is I have great hope in humanity and in science. And I think that the naysayers, the vax deniers, they are a very small percentage of the population. I think I'm really optimistic that we will hit the 80%, 85% that's needed for herd immunity. We will get past this. There will probably be another wave, but that's probably that's probably it, quite honestly. It will take us, there will probably be another third global wave. There will be another uptick here in the United States. There will be a small uptick in in a few spots that's having trouble delivering the vaccines, vaccine hesitancy. We know that there's mistrust with amongst the minority populations here in the United States, as well as in the Midwest and South areas. But this is how we get back to normalcy. And if you appreciate this video, if you think it was useful, please hit the share button. I'd appreciate that. If you want your own COVID rapid test, just message me on Facebook, facebook.com/Dr. Vaughn. They're normally $5 for $500. I'm giving you at half price, $5 for $50. And people who can't afford it, you're just a cheapskate. That's fine. You don't have to buy it from me. But Costco was charging $125, and you still had to send it into a lab. This is safety at home. You're probably the same person who's too cheap to pay for a condom and then gets upset when your girlfriend tests positive for pregnancy. Just saying it like it is. Saying it like it is. All right. And as always, I will go live every single day in the month of May. I will kind of get away from these COVID talks. I will do the next big hurdle that we have to overcome is going to be the economic crisis that's looming. So just get ready. I'm going to be talking about the economy here this next week or so, and I'll be going live from Costa Rica. Love you guys. Be awesome, and love each other. Be kind to each other, guys. I appreciate y'all. Message me on Facebook if you want to test. Thanks. Bye.